You're listening to Empire of Rust, the first and greatest Transformers RPG podcast. Join the heroes of Cybertron as the last vestiges of Starscream's war take them to the far-flung colonies to defend the planet from distant threats and protect the Cybertronian Republic from the shadow of the Harmonium.
Welcome back to Empire of Rust, the first and greatest Transformers RPG podcast. This is episode 134. It's a lot of episodes. Should be proud of ourselves for that. So kind of jumping on from the last episode where we started off our the big social encounter here, I wanted to get your opinions on just social encounters in general on games. Times when it's like really worked for you, times where it hasn't. I'll start us off a little bit on this one, and I'm going to echo back something that we did here with the trial back on Scarvex. The only time I have ever run a trial in a game before, only time I've ever seen a trial, and I thought it went pretty good. I mean, it needed a bit of editing just to keep the pace going quickly, but I thought it was really, really fun.
That's my fault.
Well, since you said it's your fault, Matt, why don't we go ahead and start with you? You've run a couple of kind of big social encounters before, I imagine, right?
I'm having trouble remembering them, but I'm no doubt have. I have difficulty with running social stuff just because I don't know. I think it's the way I run the game, because running a lot of people in a social situation, it's coming up with the dialogue and who to talk to and everything like that. I find it challenging. And unfortunately, I have the habit of sort of skipping over that stuff, in a lot of cases, which is something I'd really like to get better at. But there's been some notable incidents. As a matter of fact, one of the most notable I can think of involves Mike M. here, Spindrift, playing Dr. Salat when he actually had a social encounter with an inanimate object.
That's right.
And convinced it to open. I mean, it was a door. It was a mechanical electric door, but it did not. He could speak with machines, so it didn't have a computer to do this, but he convinced it to open up anyway, which is it's at absurd difficulty level, like 40 or something like that, and he still did it. And that will stick to me the rest of my life as the most amazing, convincing thing I've ever seen in a social skill check sort of thing. I mean, it would be very appropriate if you knew his character. It's incredibly appropriate. Yes, can you do that? Yes, of course. Can I open even though I have no machinery to do so? Yes.
You also did the Grump thing really well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I guess I can. If I can, I mean, I did a little more mental preparation for that one. So if I can do it, it tends to. I tend to think of all the action stuff and then the social stuff after, which I sort of forgot to think about. So, all right, let's do the next exciting thing. But that one I did have a little bit of thought of. The Gromp thing was basically it's just getting even more bizarre. They went to another planet. It was like a race of frogs they met, and they have different social conversation things, and they also used it's like Smurf, only Grump. Everything was Grump, but they knew the difference. And they also had the habit of not starting the conversation, so they would just sit there and wait for you to talk to them.
How do they ever communicate with anything?
Because they didn't want to be rude, so they wanted to make sure that the other person had finished what they were saying. But sometimes that was like 5 minutes. And so we're just kind of like, okay, like the next section of the conversation has begun.
Yeah, they need to be explicitly told that I'm done talking now.
Yeah, thank Grump.
And then they tried to get directions from them to the Grump.
What about you, Pat? I'm sure you've at least played in a bunch of social situations. You've also, I know you've played in one that I ran back at a kind of similar thing, like a party in one of our not Legacy of Fire, Temples and Ethos games.
I guess for me, it's like those things are kind of very hit or miss. Like, I like them, but like, like for instance, like Carapace's character is not designed for that sort of thing. So like in situations like that for Carapace, it's like, okay, I don't feel like I have a whole lot to do. And that's, partially my own fault, like, for kind of like over specializing. However, when I specialize in the social, like I tend to enjoy it very much. Like I'm playing a mesmerist in another game that's kind of like Baron von Munchausen, and it's just like, just charming incarnate, and it's just one of those things that's like, and that's super fun. So like I could go an entire game and like, if I lift a weapon, something's wrong. Like, because, half the time I end up convincing the people that were trying to kill us to be friends. Like, so I think that I honestly struggle with this sort of stuff, like, because I get too involved in like the rules. So like if I don't believe that my character can do the thing that I'm going to say, like I have difficulty following through. So like playing characters with a very high bluff is exceptionally challenging for me. Just because it's like I'm just like, how could you possibly believe that this is true? Like, this is clearly not true. And then it's just like, oh yeah, but my bluff was high enough. You're like, okay, my suspension of disbelief is
on crack.
Yeah, like needs to have the brakes fixed.
Yeah, you just gotta lift say anything you want,
Yeah, and the same thing, like same thing with Rumi, like the switching, like having to have multiple personalities at the same time, like is very difficult. Like in the game where I played Kluge, Cohen, and Landfill, it was like I had the intention of playing like 5 kind of characters, or technically even 6. And
hats off to you, sir.
Yeah, because it was like, because I was a headmaster with 2 heads. Mm-hmm. So like there was each individual robot had a personality, and then I wanted to have like 2 of them combined having a personality, the other 2 having a personality, and then we never got to the idea of me having 2 heads. But that could have been a very interesting personality as well. But it's like I lack the kind of subtlety. Like if you've ever seen something like Orphan Black, where you could like see a person pretending to be a person who's not actually, like, it's like you're like, wow, they're actually different. Like being able to see that sort of thing. And it's something that I'm not very good at yet.
You're talking about, Tropic Thunder kind of stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
See, what I thought you did with Cohen and Kluge actually was really interesting. Like they felt like distinct personalities, and I think it was beneficial that you pared it back from like the 5 or 6 that you had intended, and let you at least focus on those 3 like more.
Okay.
So
I think had we played it for a longer time, it probably would have been something that kind of developed.
Sure.
That's the sort of thing that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you did a great job too. I mean, I think you don't give yourself
thank you.
credit.
Yeah. How about yourself, Mike?
I'm thinking about it. Like I don't recall running any social encounters that are notable. Like some minor things, but nothing.
You just say yes. Like you let us, like it's like, oh, is this happening? And you go yes. Like you just like keep saying yes and yes, but, and
a
like
lot
it's
of times,
wonderful.
Yeah.
I feel like one that you did for the Star Wars one, the Star Trek one, where I think that's the one where Adams and Dorian got one of those big giant hairy Yeti monsters fell in love with him.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's like basically just sit back and let the players do stuff, because like we played a game, it was just Adam and Matt. They're playing the Warhammer game. And I don't know if you guys remember that one, where you completely just went away from the story, and just the whole night we played, you guys were in the tavern talking to people. I think you were hitting on some women that were in the town. You took them to like the opera or something like that. And like the whole night, it was just them role playing. Like there were like no roles or anything. It was just, a big social game, I guess. So, but Yeah, for the most part,
Amazing
when I
and
do stuff
memorable.
like that, yeah,
It
it's
was
basically let the players just have fun and do what they want to do.
Oh, I mean, you deserve a lot of credit for being able to facilitate that and roll with it too, because I had so much fun. I'll never forget that adventure.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. That was the first time that I've ever had go like that. So that was funny. But yeah, so that's basically how I tend to do it.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
I think it comes down to making like very interesting NPCs. Like that's when I feel like it tends to shine. And Matt has created some of the craziest things I've ever seen over the years.
Thank you.
And terrifying. Like I remember I met something that claimed to be an angel, and with the most seriousness I've ever seen in a DM, he kind of turned and looked to me and was like, "Lucifer was an angel too," and I was like, that fucking creeped me out.
On your spine.
Yeah.
How about you, Adam? I'm sure you got some great stories.
Don't we have to start the episode now?
Oh no.
I have learned to kind of stay away from social encounters when I'm running them, because they are very dangerous. Difficult to do. And if the social aspect of it becomes a little convoluted or kind of enticing, like if it steers towards romanticism, you can actually, kind of deter people from playing. Haven't had a lot of experience with that, but I do remember one or two players that actually took offense at the notion that I was kind of like picking their romantic partner or their romantic interest in the story. They wanted full control over their own characters.
I can see how that'd be frustrating. Yeah.
But as a player, I love social ones. Those are great.
Yeah. You're exquisite at it.
Well, considering that I play the GM role pretty well, I think I do have a lot of experience with changing characters and staying in character and things of that sort. So social interactions, social encounters I'm great at.
I'll agree.
Adam has always excelled at leadership roles as players too. He has that charisma and that social aptitude.
I don't mind being behind, telling people what to do. Especially in battle. Hey, go take care of that guy, will you?
Yeah.
Although I do remember it was different. You challenged yourself once by playing a character who was supposed to be subservient.
Yes, Omni. I wanted him to be completely submissive. It just knows that he's not in charge and wants to take direction from others. He was aimless.
And you were paired in a 2-person campaign for a long time with Mike M's character, Dr. Salat, who believed that literally anything could be done that was attempted. And damn it, if they proved it.
Yeah, we actually made an awesome team.
We did.
Just a dynamic duo, if you will.
Tad overconfident on occasion, because I remember when you guys just walked in to pretend they were dealing with space pirates, and they basically wandered into the room full of pirates, pretending to be pirates, but having not made any attempt at disguising themselves or looking different than they normally did. And these guys aren't the brightest bulb, but they weren't that dumb. I do make some dumb NPCs, but
see, this is how we learn. This is how we learn where the lines are.
Well, I mean,
we cross them.
How did it end? The ship crashed. You guys.
Carapace, you are stomping down the hallway, having gotten very upset that these guards demanded that you get rid of your weapons and that you peace bind your cannons and everything that's attached to you. You just left your friends in there, stomping down the hallway. What do you want to do? I just want to keep on going, Michael.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, part of me is just like I'm frustrated by the ludicrous nature of the request, considering that a handful of people in that room are probably weapon formers who literally turn into weapons. It's like
The hypocrisy.
Yeah, well, it's just like okay, yeah, let's pretend that we can't kill each other. You know, it's just like regardless of what weapon I have, I am one. And I think that's the kind of realization that makes me realize that it's just like, okay, I'm dangerous no matter what I'm wielding, so I guess this is why we're here. So, I mean, I guess my only concern is, like, more than any of these other guys, like, I have a lot of weapons that are integrated into me. So, I'm assuming they have some means of that, like removing the power core or...
No, you're just going to look like a Christmas tree. Little ornament things to, nullify all your weapons hanging off of you.
Okay. They got like little these like little like clasp things that are going to go over like the barrels and the emitters from your weapons. It's effectively like a small like reflective shield. So if you try to shoot it, it's just going to boop back up on you. And
you should make armor out of that.
I knew you'd love it.
Imagine if Nico was here, he'd have to spend the whole evening in the coat room.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Nico. Boss, come on, let me out here.
I also acknowledge that of anybody in our group, I'm probably the one most likely to lead us to war. So I figured that let them loosen things up a little bit, and then I'll come in as the fashionably late.
And smash!
Yeah.
So you turn your butt around and you head back towards the main entrance here. The guards recognize you because it's been at most 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So change your mind there, buddy?
Yeah, after a solid robo dump, I think I'm ready to play.
All right, you know the drill.
This card was very sympathetic to your feelings.
Okay, good. I'm
Actually, that's right. Like he shouted off, like, "I sympathize."
There are several. Like, I probably have 12 weapons on me. So, and I think all but 4 of them are integrated into me. So the other 8 I can actually put down.
Just dump them on the table.
Yeah, so it's just like that. It's like, okay, yeah, that's the little resonator, and here's the decimator disintegrator canyon. That's a nice one. Don't play with that one. Somehow you've probably heard of Wolfang, but this was a piece of his tail because everyone seems to.
Oh, Wolfang! Yeah, I know, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
You know about here?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it was in Sweet Spot's diplomatic packet that he into them.
Like everybody's wearing in memoriam Wolfang pins.
How about things like my taser web and my web grenades? Are those seen, or are those like embedded in my form?
So this came up with Spindrift last time. If part of your alt mode, like for example, like her bite attack, they're not going to say anything about it as long as you're staying in robot mode. Which
are they doing anything to prevent us from transforming? Like, is that part of the peace knot thing? Like, thou shalt not?
No, but Iron Lift in the tram on the way to the city, I think a couple episodes ago, suggested that you and Spindrift, since you have animal alt modes, those are not present in the grand taxonomy of the planet. So he recommended that you do not transform. Didn't say you could, but recommended that you don't.
Okay, so I'm about as naked as I've been in a long time. But
and they'll take the crate full of your weapons and put it into the weapon check. and they will attach those little clamps down onto your weapon emitters to prevent them from shooting.
I immediately size up the guards just to see where I stand.
Above them.
They actually are about the same size as you.
Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, it's more of one warrior to another. Can I see in their stance how proficient they are?
Why don't you give me a perfection bodyguard, right?
Which one is it? Yes.
Go ahead and roll
Bounty
it.
Hunter. Bounty Hunter.
Go ahead and roll it up.
Great way to start. Natural 1.
Aww.
So I have a 15.
All right. They don't. It looks like you could take one of them pretty easy, but if it got to 2 or 3, you might have a tough time.
Okay. I'm assuming they are armed.
Of course.
Okay, so I have weapons available. It's good to know.
Nicely done. Okay, you go ahead and you walk into the front doors there. You see Persona off to your left, and you heading over to that table. Magnum is in front of you. Spindrift is in front of him, and then where's Sweet Spot? Sweet Spot's over there on the side there. So actually, everyone's kind of close to the front there.
And have I been informed as to the rules of the quartet thing?
Yes, I've kind of spelled things out for you guys. Don't ignore them for too long. Make good use of our handler and the information she can provide before going to talk to people. But since we only really have one shot to talk to her before, kind of time runs out, we want to just do that first and then move on to the more important people.
So should I speak to Persona right now?
Yeah, and I'll say that part of the you can get you can get a couple questions in as just general information here before you go off. So I'm not going to count this as you talk to her now. So I'll give you the chance to get some information like everyone else did, and then go and get whoever you want to talk to.
So Iron Lift is hanging out with her as well?
Yep.
On this little table? Okay. So I'm going to walk up to her. Did I get a gist as to, what is she like?
She seems very helpful. She's been pretty honest with us as far as I can tell. I mean,
okay.
She hasn't let us, she's been warning us of things not to do or whenever, so.
Okay, Persona.
She looks scheming, but I don't think that's the personality.
Persona. What would you tell someone who really doesn't want to be here? To ask the powers that be things that will not cause a stir.
Just make small talk.
Do you have a half hour?
I mean, we could have gone for that walk for 10 minutes, but,
you ask a very perceptive question. And I think something that you need to keep in mind is that this is the society of the Great Machine. Everyone has its place in it, and everyone has a role to fulfill it. The idea of there being a rogue element within the machine, it happens. It has to. We are a population of 10 billion sentients, so there's going to be rogue elements in it. But that is not it is not something that you should bring up to the quartet.
Okay.
Anything that suggests that the Grand Machine is not working as it is intended is a point of conversation you should think about before going down.
Okay. So don't walk up and ask about the sexual scandal. Got it.
That is, I mean, there's no sexual scandal, of course.
Of course. Okay. General Silver, military guy. I think I'm probably going to get along swimmingly with him. I guess it's the other ones that I'm more concerned about.
Yeah, you'll probably get along well with him. I would think you two have a lot in common. But you'd be surprised that other other folks, other people here might also be very interested in your point of view.
Okay.
My recommendation is not to limit yourself just because you believe you have something in common with the general.
Okay. Well, he's the closest to me, so that's where I'm going to start.
You're going to jump right in and shove Spindrift out of the way.
No, but I honestly didn't see that she was there, so...
No worries.
Okay.
Her spider sense is tingling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that's Carapace.
Yep.
Aw. All right, so yeah, you can go ahead and go over to Eris Silver.
Ambassador Carapace.
I think that might be inaccurate.
Yeah, that got me too.
Are you not all ambassadors of your society?
But I think that ambassador is the wrong word. Sweet Spot is an ambassador. That's more of like a title. Like, it's just like you are a general, but you are also a soldier. So it's like, I am a soldier, but I am not a general. The same way with ambassador. Like, I am from somewhere else, but I am not in a position of authority. I'm here to protect these fools from getting killed. Pretty much.
I can respect that.
I figured.
I hear that you successfully protected them from one of the mechana worms in the depths of the planet.
Oh, is that what they're calling them? Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Yeah, that's it's one of the biggest things I've had been able to take down. So, is that a common thing?
No, they don't often appear, but there are still some left over that we simply haven't been able to reach. They've likely buried themselves and burrowed deep into the sublevels of the planet. No one goes down there anymore, so it has ceased to be a concern until the days when they do pop up, like they did for yourselves.
Coincidences abound.
Seems to be a lot of that going around in these last few days. A group of travelers from a long-distant star system arrive and seek an alliance with us.
Yep. How are you feeling about that so far?
Well, my concerns are practical. What can you offer militarily? And what do you want from us?
Good questions.
I'll get right back to you.
Well, I mean, I don't really have the answers to those things. Again, I don't speak for Cybertron, so I'm not privy to their entire infrastructure. So I'm not sure what they are capable of, honestly.
Let me ask a different question then. Are you an exemplar of your civilization?
Exemplar, as in, am I better than most, or am I a typical example? I'd like to think that I'm better than most, but there are certainly those stronger than me, as much as that hurts me to say out loud. But I try to be introspective. Too much confidence leads to blindness. And I feel that in order for me to evolve evermore, I have to acknowledge that it's possible that things are stronger than me. If anything, the only way I get stronger is by defeating things stronger than me. So,
forgive me for asking a somewhat philosophical question, but if you are one of the stronger beings within your sphere, on your planet, and in your society, how do you treat the lesser classes or the weaker ones in your world?
Oh boy.
Well, my world is, again, very different from Cybertron. I think you guys would call it, like, primitive or primal.
Yukaris, correct?
Correct. By and large, the might makes right. But that's only, on the surface. There are absolutely communities. There are very different types of strength. Like, the physically strongest ones are not the most dangerous ones. So it's one of those things, like, big can be obvious. I should know. I think that the general, if I were to make a generalization, is that there are no generalizations. It's very individualized. There are pockets of chaos. There are pockets of order. It's which I'm sure most people here would find very uncomfortable. But that's kind of how I was raised.
And is the same thing hold true on Cybertron?
Not really. Cybertron's much more like developed. Like, you know what I mean? It's I would say it's closer to here. It's not the same, exactly, but definitely closer. Can I make a perception check just to see like what sort of things he seems to be responding to?
Okay, yeah.
That is a 25.
Okay. It seems like when he started talking about how the lower classes or like the weaker bots, like how they're being treated, he seems to perk up a little bit more on that. He seems to be a little bit more interested in it.
In that they're not treated poorly, or that they are treated poorly?
Either or, really. I mean, he seems to be very interested just in the general, how the lower class or how weaker beings are treated in general over the course of the civilizations. And you imagine it's probably because he wants to, compare it to how it's here, how it goes here.
Gotcha. So what I will do is I'm going to kind of give him I would like to use my survival skill to pretty much kind of tell him, very explicitly how one survives. Like, we do not have a caste in that things know where they belong. If I am hungry and something is there, I will eat it. If I am strong enough to do so, then I deserve to. That's pretty much it. If something very small should happen to, group together and take down a larger prey, great. Like, that's on them. Like, it's like everything deserves the right to take what they can.
So what you're saying is even those weaker than you or lesser than you, as long as they are working together and as long as they are cooperating in a grand scheme, they can take down even the strongest predator, someone like yourself. Absolutely.
Yep. And it's my job to be prepared for such things and to not let it happen.
That is fascinating. It is not something it's not a point of view or an ideology that we have here.
It was put very beautifully there, Carapace.
Which part?
All of it. You described yourself and your point of view very, very succinctly. And it brought a tear to my eye.
I do have a few ranks in poet. So
nice.
So I rolled a 33 on my survival check to try to explain that to him.
All right. So, unfortunately, that's not going to be a success on this one, simply because survival is not really something that he's particularly interested in.
Okay.
All right. It was a good try, though. It was a good try. And also, anything that you find out, like during your talks here, you are free to share with anyone else too, so that they can help out as well.
Yeah, I had already told everyone to leave their comms open, but the volume low, so that we can kind of listen into what other people are saying to get a heads up on our future conversations with them.
Sure.
And I have my audio network anyway, so I'm always listening to everyone.
Okay.
Always listening.
Good attempt, though. But that's also good for all of you, because all of you learn that Aris is just not really interested in not so much survival. It's not really the way of putting it, but it's not really something that is in his wheelhouse, so to speak.
The other thing I was going to consider intimidating him, but I felt that would have been the wrong way. But I
never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Okay. All right, so that is the end of the first round of questions. We're going to go ahead and go to round 2. We're going to do a new initiative for this one. Pat, for you, initiative is going to be a D20 plus either diplomacy, intimidate, or culture. The choice is yours.
I guess I'll go with intimidate.
Okay.
In which case I gain a 26.
26 for Carapace. How about Sweet Spot?
Sweet Spot got a 23.
I got a 38.
I got 34.
All right, so new order is going to be Magnum, Spindrift, Carapace, and Sweet Spot. Sweet Spot, what's going on here, man?
It's not a race, all right? It's not a race.
Ain't that the truth? Okay, round 2. Magnum, go ahead and lead us off. What do you want to go and talk to? You've already spoken to this season.
I'm going to definitely go over to ends with a 7. Seraphim 7?
Seraphim 7, yes. Okay.
And you said her job was the Powermaster Recognition Committee?
Approval Committee, yeah. She is the person who determines who is going to be a Powermaster and who is not.
I see. Like the censor. All right. Good evening. Good afternoon, ma'am. If you have a few minutes, I would like to introduce myself and say hello.
Absolutely. You are a Magnum, correct?
Yes, I am. Seraphim 7, if I am correct.
Please call me Sarah.
Sarah. It's very nice to meet you.
You as well. I've heard so many things about the 4 of you. Representatives from Cybertron.
Yes.
That is fascinating.
Yeah. We were incredibly excited to discover you guys were here. So it was very important for us to go visit. You guys are legendary in a lot of ways because we didn't even know this colony had succeeded forever. That's true enough.
That's interesting. I'm afraid I don't have much information about the history of the colony, but I will say that I see that bot over on the corner there, the blue bot.
And she's pointing to the one over here in the corner on Neurus.
Neurus. Sorry, looking in from here.
That is one of the oldest bots in our society. If you're interested in the history of the colony, you'll be a good resource to talk to.
Well, that'd be excellent. I like history, but I'm actually more, if you don't mind discussing it. Your excellent Vexing spoke very highly of you when it comes to regarding the Powermaster.
A Powermaster approval process. Yes. It falls to me, my sacred duty, my Cronus-sponsored duty to determine whom among us is worthy of being a Powermaster. Because as you know, by being a Powermaster is the closest thing that any of us are going to get to being my Cronus. As close to his divine presence as possible. So I take my responsibility as my duty very seriously.
That sounds amazing. Wow. So, we're still learning about your social structure, and it's fascinating and very revealing, and there's a lot to learn from it. And so, can you tell me more about how the Powermaster caste, if that's a correct term, fits in, and maybe what you'd be looking for, and how that helps society?
Of course, yes, absolutely.
You can see she kind of lights up at being able to talk about her sphere of influence, and not only that, but alien explorers are interested in knowing what she's up to.
The idea of the Powermaster caste is that they are going to be the closest to my Cronus because they have a piece of him built within them, and they are the most worthy of all of the bots here on the Harmonium. The ones who have either given the most back to society, given the most back to the Grand Machine. Not only their roles, not only fulfilled the roles that they have, but went above and beyond in helping the Grand Machine function that much better, improving the efficiency, improving the idea of the machine. People who are warriors, who are renowned for their ability to stop pirates, to stop raiders, to deal with wildlife like the mechanoworm that I heard your group had dealt with. Anyone who was able and willing to go above and beyond the needs of society is someone who is going to be one of the Powermasters, one of the Powermaster class, and they, of course, give back by ruling and determining the course of the great machine, of our great society.
Wow. It's definitely a heck of a responsibility. It seems like it's in good hands, but it's
oh, you
what
flatter
an
me.
exciting prospect. Oh, yes. No, I wouldn't say that.
Bluff
I
check.
would.
Actually, I rather like her. Yeah. So is it the they're called microbots, minibots?
Micromasters, Minicons, like they'll answer the same with the both.
Is the Micromaster being evaluated primarily for ascension, or is it the host, or do they both have to qualify in some way? Because I know Micronus is all about lifting up from the base, correct? Something like that?
Yes. The host has to be the one who is worthy of the combination, because we view the Minicons, you view the Micromasters as part of Micronus, his physical representation in the world, the things that are supporting and helping our society run as efficiently as it does. These are parts of Micronus himself.
I am interested in it, but that's fascinating. So this God stuff is walking around I'm speaking completely without sarcasm here. This God stuff is walking around in the forms of these Micromasters, and they are obviously supporting your society to a huge amount. I am curious about sort of the social structure that underlies that. They definitely seem to be very incredibly, how should I say it, subservient to the larger bots to support the great machine. As a social perspective, as individuals, how do you think they view that, and how do you view these individuals who are literally part of Micronus being part of I'm not going to say underclass because that's not the word, but this sort of a subservient role in society as a social structure?
Well, they are part of Micronus himself, much in the same way that the individual cells of biological beings are part of the larger whole. Minicons and Micromasters are part of the larger whole of our society. It's not that they're a separate underclass, as what I understand, you didn't mean it as that, but the very idea is that they are part of Micronus, part of the fabric of society, much in the same way that your individual gears and cogs are part of you. Is that...
I guess what you say, do you have, though, members of society who maybe don't view them as sanctified as maybe they should? Because between you and me, they are awfully convenient to have a large group of people to do these very important tasks. And they may not appreciate them as much as you and I do.
You see your expression kind of change on this one. Like she's kind of getting your point, but at the same time, it's like why would they not? Why wouldn't they? So you kind of see the direction it's going for, and you think maybe you're pushing it a little bit too far.
I mean, I could very well be wrong, because I've only been here and I don't understand the society. So, I mean, that this may not be an issue. I mean, I'm just trying to understand, what this amazing machine is all about.
It is not something that has... I mean, our taxonomy has always told us that the Minicons are a part of the society, not separate from it. Without them, our society simply would not function, would not run. very few people have ever given rise to the thought of whether they are, well, happy with like their lot in life. But it is an interesting discussion.
I mean, in the analogy of the body, like if your gears and cogs are well maintained and oiled properly, and you're given all the enrichments they need, wouldn't that make the machine better?
That is correct. Yes, absolutely.
And it would certainly benefit everyone, because they are, everyone is part of Micronus, right? So all that enhanced God stuff. Well, I mean, it's very interesting. So I appreciate you enlightening me.
Why don't you go ahead and pick something you want to roll with, and we'll see what we go with that one.
Okay, so let's take the foot out of my mouth. I can roll it.
That's Magnum, and you're going for Sarah. Okay?
I tried diplomacy. I mean, I was being pretty straight about everything. In a very
That's fair.
way.
Yep.
All right, I got a 27.
On diplomacy, you said?
Yeah. You're away from
Okay.
me. I need 9. Darn it.
You got a success on this one. Woohoo! So so she kind of like takes a step back for a moment and says,
That is interesting. I wonder what society would be like if all of the Micromasters within the society, all the minicons here, had more of a voice.
and you can see that like kind of behind her optics there, she's considering like what this possibility may mean, and she's not upset by it, she's not horrified by it or anything.
The substance of God might become the voice of God, so to speak.
You've given me much to think about, Magnum.
Thank you very much. I'm glad. Meeting you was it was quite a pleasure. I appreciate it.
Okay, next up, Spindrift.
When Carapace comes over to talk to the general, Spindrift will excuse herself
Oh, pardon me.
and head back over to Persona
Okay.
and just ask about some of the other bots in the room. Specifically ones that I've noticed people haven't talked to or something. So, like Nioris and Vex.
Okay.
Specifically those two.
Okay. Nioris is one of the oldest bots in ever. And if I'm being honest, he doesn't have a political position or anything. But since he is such an elder to our species, he is often invited to events like this, just out of pure respect alone. I do not know exactly how old he is, but rumor says that he was on the first colony ship that came through. It's a ridiculous rumor, of course. No one could possibly be that old. But he predates everyone on the Quartet, and everyone else that I know of, he is far older than. And as you look over to him, too, you can certainly see that he is fairly old. There's cracks and stuff in his like outer skin. He still looks whole and everything. It's not like walking with a cane or anything, but he certainly looks kind of beat up a bit. He doesn't look fresh. And the other one, Vex. She actually has to take out a datapad to check on this, because she's not certain off the top of her head who Vex is. And she's scrolling through the datapad. Apparently. That's interesting. Vex is one of the... Well, I believe in your society it would be a professor at one of our institutes of higher learning. And if I'm reading this right, he has somewhat of a radical disposition. Yeah, I don't have a lot of information about him. He's not someone I usually see in events like this. He's certainly in the upper echelon of society. Certainly, he's certainly part of the Powermaster class. No question there. But Yes, he seems to be a... Yeah, I'm actually not certain why he was invited. Seems kind of surprising.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you.
Oh, yes, certainly.
Hey, that's intriguing. I think I'm going to go speak with him. Vex. Vex is vexing. Yeah, so I'll approach him.
Okay. I'm going to give you a quick perception check as you're approaching him.
27.
He notices you approach.
Okay. I wasn't trying to be stealthy.
That's fair. And he does not look happy.
Oh.
And he doesn't seem to be trying to hide it at all. Like, normally it'd be like a sense motive thing, but no, this is like just so obvious. Like, his entire body language just immediately changes as he notices you approach him. Like, arms crossed. He puts his drink down, kind of looks at you as you're approaching him. He knows you're approaching him. It's like just very closed off.
Okay. Well, I'll go up. Greetings. I'm Spindrift. I was wondering if you'd like to talk for a bit.
He extends one hand, kind of like keeps it tight. Like, he has his like other hand like kind of still like crossed a bit. Very, very minimal movement forward. Vex.
How many fingers on that hand, though?
It's nice to meet you.
Is there something I can help you with?
Sorry, Arsona said he was like a professor of sorts? Is that what it was?
Yeah. He may... she doesn't have the exact information, but he's likely a very... effectively maybe like a headmaster of a school, but not just a standard professor. He would have been pretty high up in
Okay. I'm sorry, our handler mentioned that you were part of some sort of learning institute here? Perhaps the head of one?
That is correct. I am the headmaster at the Harmonium's Grand Consortium of colleges.
Harmonium Grand Consortium of colleges?
Correct.
Oh. Wow, that's quite an honored title. The colleges, so there's multiple here, is that correct? You run multiple colleges?
I make decisions based on the curriculum of all the colleges here in the city, or in the capital. There are different colleges based on different areas of study. So, for example, if you wanted to, become a healer or a doctor, you would go to a particular consortium, a particular college. In this example.
I see. That's interesting. Sorry. As you probably know, we're not from this world, so everything's new here. Where I come from, there are no places of learning like that, so it's just fascinating for me that exists here. And there's multiple of them, not just one. There's one for every profession, just about.
Yes, that is correct. And you see, like, when you say that, he gets a bit surprised. You're saying that your society does not have institutes of learning? Does not, like, how do you not train the next generation of society?
Yes, where I am from specifically, where there are multiple worlds. Some do have learning institutes, but where I'm from, there are not any. My world is mostly based off of survival of the fittest, if you will. The strong survives, the weak doesn't. I'm trying to gauge his reaction to this, see if he's interested or if he's thinks it's just awful.
He seems to be picking up a little bit on the idea of the like not having colleges in your society. But he's going to take a little bit of a different track with this and ask, so the weak on your planet, they are like an underclass? How does the caste system on your world work?
There's no real caste system like you have here. It's more of an unofficial caste system where, like I said, the strong rule over the weak. But it's not like here where specific bots have specific roles. It's based off of strength, cunning, survival abilities.
Do the weak have a chance to overcome the strong?
It's possible. There have been moments in history where that has happened, but for the most part, no.
I see.
Does he seem interested, or is he just kind of making conversation because I'm here? Can I figure that out?
Yeah, go ahead. Make a perception check. I'll give you some hints as to which direction you're going with this.
28.
So you think that the initial part of the conversation was because you had come over here, and it would look very bad for him to ignore you. But as the conversation went along, he seems to be very interested in how the lower classes are treated on your planet, or at least what his equivalent for lower classes would be.
Okay.
Or the lower caste. I shouldn't say classes, because it's not like it's a thing that you can just kind of pop in and out of. It is like an actual thing that you're born into. So he seems very interested in how they're portrayed.
Okay. I will try to go into a little more detail on that for him to try to pique his interest some more. And then I'll ask him his opinion on that. Like, how does that equate to caste system here? Like, does it seem similar to him? Does it seem a lot different? Like, try to get his opinion on the caste system that they have.
Okay. So while I don't believe the system on your planet is desirable, the movement on it is very interesting. The idea that even the weaker bots could overcome stronger and become stronger and change their station and change their status on the world is a very appealing one. It's something that we don't have here, obviously, and in many respects, the lower castes here in the Harmonium are not treated as well as I believe they should.
I will mention the incident that we saw the other day. So yes, we've seen some of that on our tour. We saw one of the other bots kick one of them.
Yes, that is not the way the world should be.
I agree with you on that one. I think that they should be treated with more respect than that.
Want to go ahead and make a roll?
Yeah. I'm going to do diplomacy on this one.
Okay.
I think that's fitting. Let me just double check something, but I think that's most fitting on this one. Yeah. I'll do that. 33.
33. And do you have any bonuses on this one?
Yes.
Of course.
Right? If you're asking me.
That's what you get. That's a question.
Actually, no. I'm sorry. You actually do get one. So okay. And a good thing you did, because that was actually a very hard diplomacy check on him, because he is starting off in a very bad mood.
Good on you.
But yes, and I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is that gave you the bonus for it, but you did get a bonus on that one. So
excellent.
Good. All right, so you get one more success on that one. I'm going to give you a little something after this.
Okay.
I must admit, I was very disappointed when I heard that you four were going to be here, because this event, he kind of just gestures to everything around him. This event has knocked out a talk that I was supposed to have with the Quartet right at this hour. I suppose it was not surprising. I don't think the Quartet really wanted to talk to me and use this as an excuse, but in the end, it is still disappointing to not be able to bring my ideas to them. My intent was to bring to their attention the treatment of the lower castes, and to hopefully bring some reform to them, to ensure that they are treated better, to prevent things like what you had seen the other day. It took a very long time to get it set up, and it makes me feel like the Quartet did not want to hear what I had to say.
Well, first of all, let me apologize. We We had no intention of delaying or taking over your meeting with them. We didn't even know about this until we were brought to our guest quarters. I understand your concern. Like I said, we've seen it ourselves, and it's not something that we're used to seeing from our worlds, especially the more civilized ones like Cybertron. I know it's, a possible future endeavor, but perhaps if our planets have some sort of alliance, maybe we could help with some sort of change like that.
You would offer to bring in new ideas to the Harmonium. It is interesting and dangerous. Walk with a fine line, my friend. And he will shake your hand much more warmly this time around.
Okay, great. Ooh, that's tough.
That was a tough one.
Wow.
That was a tough one.
Well done.
Thank you.
Carapace, that brings it to you again.
So I'll briefly go back and speak to Persona and be like, who do you recommend I speak to next? And I did hear a little bit about the Nioris guy being like a historian, so I'm actually curious about speaking to him.
Yes, you are correct. Nioris is one of the oldest bots in our society. If you are interested in the history of the Harmonium, I think he is a good resource to speak to. I was just speaking to Spindrift about him, and there are various rumors as to how old he is. Certainly older than everyone here by a long margin. His memory goes back a very, very long way.
Okay. I am curious about that. Again, so it looks like Seraphim is being taken up. Sweet spot's pretty much around Praxis. I've already spoken to Silver, and I can't talk to Cortex. So I think I'm going to head up to Neoris.
As you approach, Neoris is going to get to his feet. A very, very slow get to his feet. You can tell that he is very, very old. And as you are getting closer, you can tell that he is like, everything's working, yeah. But again, it's been a very, very. He seems like a very, very old bot.
Okay,
he needs to be defragged.
Yep.
And a spark lying around.
I'm told you're called Neoris.
You are correct, and if my memory serves me, you are Carapace.
Also correct.
Tell me, what brings you over to talk to this ancient bot when you have all of these other movers and shakers around?
Well, if what I suspect is true, you know a little bit about my culture, and you know that in my culture, the elderly, the old, are revered, because only a capable bot could possibly live so long. If you were weak, you would have died already.
Ha! That is maybe a little closer to accurate than I'd like to admit. But tell me, what makes you think I know anything about your society?
Well, in the 3 conversations I've had, I've heard that you were possibly one of the people that actually came here on the original ship. And if so, that means you came from Cybertron, which means that it's likely that you'd heard of some of the other cultures involved. Albeit millions of years ago. But with a memory as long as yours, that's something that might still be kicking around.
And you kind of see that kind of glint behind his eye, like the kind of like a like small smile of like, yeah. It's funny. Not many bots around here care much about where they came from, nor really show much interest in the history of this planet. But you are correct. I am one of the colonists that came here on Statera, and I might be one of the last ones left.
Well, allow me to compliment you by saying that I see a pretending possum when I see one.
Ha. Flattery will get you everywhere.
It's not flattery if it's true.
Let me see if I can guess where you are from. The Titan Cella brought your people to wherever you went. Is that accurate?
Yes. Is Cella was the one that Starscream killed?
Correct.
Okay. Whatever the equivalent of may they rest in peace. Yes, you are correct. The fallen Cella was sired the location of my people.
So she has fallen. That is very sad news. May I ask how?
Actually, they might have heard of this person. Have you ever heard of Starscream?
I don't believe I have. Out of character for a second, I'm not certain if you guys would know this or not. I mean, I'll tell you because I don't think it'll come up in conversation.
Right.
But you know that, I think Spindrift might know it the most. Starscream was constructed cold during the war, so he would have been born after the Titans left.
Okay.
I'm afraid I haven't heard of the name, but sounds fearsome.
Well, this Starscream awoke a sleeping Cella and killed them.
Single-handed?
I don't know. Can I make a knowledge check? Wasn't somebody else involved?
You can make a culture check if you want, yeah.
Culture. 20.
Yeah, I think this would be fairly common enough that you would know that with 20. It was... Starscream was the one who put the final shot in, but Starscream and Windblade were both there.
Okay.
Whether you want to actually say Windblade was there or not, it's totally up to you.
Sure. Yeah, as far as I know, Starscream was the one who took the final shot. But I can proudly say that I directly contributed to the demise of Starscream. So, karma has a tendency to work its way out, I find.
It's getting all the good gossip.
That is gratifying to hear. Did
my Cronus survive? I forgive me for asking, I probably a very blunt question, but,
that is a difficult thing to answer. And I think to do so, I need to back up a little bit to give a bit more context to this. This was not the original planet that Statera had intended to land on. But during the trip, we were damaged, and Statera was forced to make an emergency landing here. Now, while we were able to repair Statera in time, it took long enough that we started the beginnings of a society. And everyone, or most everyone, wanted or chose to stay. The few that didn't were given a shuttle and were allowed to leave, but this planet was not our original destination. And while my Cronus was with us as we made our initial journey, as the planet was built up, my Cronus eventually descended into the depths of the world, and we have not heard from him since.
How long ago?
This was millions of years ago. Shortly after, I believe it was once level 2 was created. So once the first level of covering the planet was finished and the second level began, that is when he had descended into the first level and never heard from him again. Bear in mind as well that we excavated down into the planet, so the levels go all the way into the core of the planet.
How many levels are there now?
I believe it is something like 160.
Okay. This is deep down.
Deep core. Deep core.
It must have been fascinating for you to watch this civilization grow.
Bittersweet.
I had that feeling.
To see the death of all my other companions, the crew, and then to see this new generation brought up and on some level not caring about the past, but on another level focusing headstrong into the future. But enough of my old Codger memories. What brings your group to the Harmonium? It's an awful long trip from Cybertron.
Yeah. I believe that Cybertron is kind of like in an exploration stage again, and so the record of your ship, I think, was known, so we were kind of sent out to see if we could find you guys, and here you are. I'm not here on like a diplomatic aspect. You'd have to talk to Ambassador Sweet Spot. I'm more just here to keep these fools alive.
You certainly look it. Kind of like appraises you up and down, like, yeah, big dude.
Yep. Yeah. So as far as like the tongue waggling parts, that I can't really help you with, but I can definitely put in a good word with the others. I know most of them would want to speak to you, so I just happen to be the first.
Well, I'm glad I got to meet such a stellar example of what Cybertron has become. Is there anyone that I can tell you anything about? I may know something. I mean,
Maybe.
I know the others would be mad at me if I didn't take this opportunity. I guess I'm trying to look out for pitfalls. This is not my area of expertise. I'm more here for the physical. So, is there anything that we should know about that will allow us to bypass any catastrophes going forward? Like, we don't want to start a war. How can we not do that?
That's understandable. I'm sure that your handler over there has already given you some warnings. I think what I'll do is I'll point you towards someone who might be able to give you some more relevant information in this case. And he will point over to Ozarelix, the Superman bot in the corner there.
Okay, yep.
And he will say, if you want to know what the Quartet are interested in, things like what's important to them, hobbies, everything like that, how you can kind of get a little bit of a tighter feel for them, go talk to Ozarelix. He knows them. He knows them very well. He is their chief of staff.
Can I tell him you sent me?
Yeah, certainly.
Will that help my chances or hurt them?
Good question.
Well, I am just an old codger, so I think maybe you could tell him that I sent you over. Most of the bots here respect me, even if they don't really ask my opinion on things anymore. They will politely listen to me, as the case may be.
Experience is a good teacher.
If only I can convince these young bots of that.
Well, thank you for your time, and once these things are concluded, I would like to continue our conversation.
I would like nothing more than to talk about the history of this world. Its successes, its failures. It's how we learn.
Okay. So, I'm torn between culture, which I'm only okay at, but then I'm wondering if survival is... Can I use the same skill more than once? Because survival might matter to this guy, because he's a survivor.
Yeah, you can, and like I said, diplomacy is always going to work, but you can...
I'm awful at diplomacy. This, I think, more feels like the culture, honestly. Yeah. So let me see what I can do with culture. Oh, when you roll an 18, you don't need it to be good. That is a dirty 30.
Nice. That's Carapace, and that is Neoris. Excellent, yes. So that is a success. It's not counting towards the total points.
Sure.
But I will give you, let's see, I'll give you something else with this.
Like I was going to say, once I get to talk to Osrelix, or whatever his name is, like, being able to give, like, an aid to the others just because they know about their hobbies would be useful, but that's one conversation in.
Yeah. Carapace, before you go, there's someone else you can probably... There's someone else you can talk to as well. If you talk to the Susan right there, if you might be able to get an idea of the important things to each of the quartet, the things that they value. So Ozarelix will get you some information on what they're interested in, and the Susan will give you an idea of how they're going to react to things.
Okay, thank you.
Gives you a nod, and then he goes back to sit down. I want you to give me a perception check on him. It's going to be a very difficult one, but it is still something you might notice.
That is a dirty 20.
Yeah, don't notice it.
I rolled a 5.
Yep.
So,
depending on perception, I mean, this was going to be like a really difficult one. There's something going on that the rest of you might find out, but you'll see. All right, and closing up on round 2 here, Sweet Spot going last in initiative. That's crazy.
All right.
You don't like this at all, do you?
Well, you did happen to save the best for last, so I'm all right with it.
Nice. That's the way to do it.
All right. Since I had talked to one of the quartet last round, basically the first round, I think this turn, I will talk to someone who is not, which will be, it's the only one that hasn't really been addressed yet, is Ozrelix.
Okay.
So,
and I would have, pinged you to be like, oh, he's someone who's good to talk to.
Definitely. Mr. Ozrelix is, where is this guy?
Top left, Superman.
Ah, okay.
If you zoom in on his artwork, take a look at what he looks like.
Archon Firaxis. It has been a pleasure talking with you, and you have given me much to think about. Thank you so much. I do believe I am neglecting the others, so if you'll excuse me. I'll make my exit and my way over to just kind of meandering, like I'm not really going directly toward him, but I really am. And good evening, sir. Is it? If I'm not mistaken, this is Ozarelix I see before me.
Yes, Ambassador Sweet Spot. What may I help you with? If you need any energon mixers, or if you need a recharge, please, you're welcome to use my staff for this. Is there anything I can do to assist you?
I'm sure you have delegated the duties out to others, but this is a party. This is a meet and greet, so please, relax a little bit. I know what it's like to be on duty all the time. So, I understand this whole soiree is a bit of your doing.
That is correct. I am the chief of staff, and the quartet depends upon me to handle all of their functions. So, and of course, it is an honor to serve the Harmonium.
Yes, of course. It's always great to know that your work is being appreciated and it is having a lasting effect. I get that. I am kind of anxious to talk to Prime Arbiter Cortex, but to be honest, I'm rather nervous. I hear a lot about him. What can you tell me about him? Like, what should I be watching out for? What's he like?
I see what you're doing there, Ambassador. You're trying to work up the courage and get a bit of an in for the conversation for the head of state. That is understandable.
It's not your first day on the job, is it?
Absolutely not. I wouldn't be chosen for this position if I was naive, Ambassador.
Right.
Okay. Well, I will give you I'll help you out a little bit here, Ambassador. Cortex is the head of state for the Harmonium, and he envisions a world that is the Grand Machine, where everything has a purpose, everything has an order. Non-functional pieces need to be removed, foreign material needs to be kept free of its inner workings, and everything needs to run as smoothly and as efficiently as possible. That is what he is interested in, and it is a calling, a divine calling, you might say.
And here I thought Archon Fraxus was the devout one.
I think you will find that all of the Cortex are devout in their own way. As I imagine you will find most of our populace is as well.
Yes, I've heard. I haven't had a chance to talk to too many of the bots on the street, as it were, but I do look forward to meeting the common bot from time to time. Get their perspective from where they stand as people.
So was that a question, or is that just a...
Nope, that was just a statement.
Okay.
I was expecting a little bit of give and take in the conversation here.
So it's one of those moments where they've said, both sides have said something and there's no response expected, and they don't know what to do next. So that's what they talk about the weather.
That is what you call an awkward moment in a conversation.
Well, that's a sweet spot, taking a long, slow drink of Energon.
Awesome. All right. So the vibe you're getting from this person here is he's not hostile towards you or anything. He is completely neutral to it, but he does see through what you're doing. You're trying to get information, off of him that you can use. I don't want to say against, but you can use it against effectively the
Prime
Arbiter. I was going to say the Grand Arbiter. Like, what? No, the Prime Arbiter. Against Prime Arbiter. So, he's...
No. He's... You misunderstand me, sir. I'm not looking to take advantage of him in any way. I simply don't want to get on his bad side with my very first words out of my mouth.
That is certainly a concern. How about this? I will provide you a bit of information if you provide some to me.
Well, if it's within my realm of knowledge, I would be happy to share, as long as I'm allowed, of course. State secrets and all.
Of course. Tell me, what does the ruling class of Cybertron think about us?
They are optimistically cautious.
Okay. That's all. You got to give me some more if you want some information that you can use.
Oh, you seem like a busy bot. I was just trying to be succinct. Yes, they are cautious about you because we have had no contact with you for so long. You know how societies develop and whatnot. I understand from the history of the place that you guys didn't always have the caste system, and it was kind of a rough go before then. So considering that we don't have a solid caste system in place, it might not go over too well between our peoples. So that's why they're cautious. Of course, they are hoping that because your colony had originated from Cybertron, and we were all once part of a great gathering of bots, that you can once again be within a brotherhood of bots that stretches across the galaxy. So in that regard, we are very, very optimistic. And of course, they've sent me to ensure that we get off on the right foot.
Go ahead and give me a roll. This one, for him specifically, is going to be diplomacy.
Diplomacy, specifically. Mm-hmm. Well. Let's see what I get here. That would be a solid 31.
Wow, that was close. That was actually very close. This guy has a pretty difficult one. But you did manage to get there. Your words are very sweet and honey-filled.
They do hit the spot, don't they?
Very well. It seems like you can play this game pretty effectively. I will give you something to jump in on for the Prime Arbiter. Prime Arbiter Cortex built his reputation on, what's the word I want to put for it? Physical reformation. He looked at different sections of the city and different sections of the planet and determined which of them were less than optimal, less than ideal, and pushed for construction in these areas to improve the system and to make the entire planet a greater part of the grand taxonomy. So what he's saying to you, and I think you can kind of interpret this in your own kind of what he's saying in kind of political speak, is he effectively was a what's the best way of putting this? There's a term for a person who would a developer, like a real estate developer, except that it's more along the lines of finding any area that doesn't go with the grand machine, doesn't work as efficiently, it is not as good. Effectively, any kind of slum, any kind of rogue element, any kind of rogue area, and bulldozing it, wiping it out, and creating newer structures, that are more in line with the taxonomy.
I can see that. There's a philosophy on my planet where the cities are actually mobile, and they need to do so because the surface of the planet is so extremely hot during the day that any machine would eventually melt and just burn away. So the cities themselves have a limited amount of surface area in which to develop. So anything that is not optimal, it's got to go. I totally understand this philosophy.
Interesting. Maybe you and the Prime Arbiter will get along better than I originally anticipated.
I don't want to just walk up and, just barge my way in. Would you mind introducing me?
You know what? Sure. This will be fascinating. I'll go ahead and I'll walk up and I'll introduce you. And with that, we will see you next time.
Yeehaw!
That was really cool.
From the Secret Files of Teletran 1, Empire of Rust is written and GM'd by Michael Ordway. Detective Magnum and his partner Pythagoras are played by Matthew G. Ambassador Sweetspot, Councilman of Velocitron, is played by Adam H.U. The Decepticon Target Master, Wildstrike, and his partner Nyko are played by Mike M. And Carapace, the Beast Warrior of Primitive Eucharist, is played by Patrick Finn. Additional characters are played by Michael Ordway, Brandon Ouellette, and Charlotte Chapman. Outro narration by Derek Bixby. Empire of Rust is supported by the humans and networks of planet Earth, whose online networks provide access to libraries of sound effects and music such as Storyblocks, Zasplat, Blue Zone, Pixabay, Paper Yellow Music, and Dark Fantasy Studios. We are distributed by the Transmissions Podcast Network. Stay up to date with all the latest news and reviews in the world of the Transformers by going to transmissionspodcast.com or searching the Transmissions wherever you get podcasts. You can communicate with the heroes of Cybertron by joining us on the Transmissions Discord channel. There you can discuss episodes, talk to the cast, and download the rule set used in Empire of Rust. Teletran 1, signing off.